Hey guys, welcome to MM501 Leadership, and it's good to have an opportunity to engage with you again. For some of you, it's been a few years. It's a little bit of deja vu, but for others, it's the first time perhaps we've engaged in this manner. But I'm excited to have you guys take this class because I do think it is eminently practical for where you find yourself most likely at this point in life. So I thought it would be a good idea to give you a little bit of a rundown as to how the course is meant to operate, because it is a little bit functionally different than other courses that you have taken up until this point. It has a few differences and a few similarities to the things that you would have done already, all of which you can easily find by just sifting through the various course materials and looking at the due dates and all the rest of that. So it's not terribly hard to negotiate, but I figure it's probably good to give you a little bit of a rundown. So the most important thing in the very beginning is to look through the course resources, and there you'll find the syllabus. And in the syllabus, what you'll see is, of course, the description of what this course entails. Now, just to summarize that for you, essentially, what this course is looking to help you do is to solidify your own understandings of leadership, first of all, to give you some things to think about in relation to leadership as a concept, as a theory, if you like, that needs to be explored, interrogated. And we do that through the readings and through the annotated bibliography that you'll be producing. But probably most importantly, it's to give you a practical outworking, an opportunity for you to put into practice in a way that makes most sense for where you're at, a leadership opportunity. So that could be through either writing something that you could perhaps use as a teaching tool in your environment, amongst those that you are influencing. Could be used potentially for publication, for a wider dispersion of your leadership analysis. Or it could be something very practical, like having a seminar in your church or your context that you find yourself in, that you could use to teach other people. So it's all of those things, any of those things. And so they're really 5 basic parts of the course, which you'll see, and the grade points and when it's due is all attached. So you don't need me to explain that all to you. You can pretty much see what that looks like. But let me give you a little bit of an understanding of how these projects work. So the first thing to do is your initial self-analysis project. Now, as you'll see, there's not a huge amount of grades attached to it, and there's not a huge amount of requirement to it, actually. Really, the grade points are more to do with just making sure that you get it done. Really, what we want you to do is to give a critique of yourself. It's the best place to start, is thinking reflexively, thinking internally. What are some of the gaps that you feel that you have in terms of your leadership? What are some skills you want to attain? And just to kind of write those out as goals almost for the time that we have together. The second portion of that, and that's something you want to get onto ASAP, would be the textbook reading and the report that's due as a result of that. As you'll see, I've given you the link to the Leadership Challenge book that's available on Loot. Some of you already have the book, I know, but that book is a fairly uncomplex, but a book that has a lot of meat to it, if that makes sense. So it's not particularly hard to understand. It's not highly theorized, but it is a book that has a lot of practical application to it, and that's the reason why we've selected that book. So as you are reading that book, we're looking for you to present a reading report on that book. It is not simply a summation of the chapter by chapter of the book. It includes some of that, but really the critical reading report is more about how you've taken points and you've pondered them and you thought about actioning them in different ways. It is a fairly long book, so make sure you get onto that as soon as possible because it's due by the end of the second week. As you'll see by the end of week 6, now we're jumping ahead a little bit, you have an interview that's a project that's due. Now, for those interview projects, again, it's not so much the substance of the interview questions per se, even though those are important. It's the sort of people that you're getting around. So it gives you an opportunity to potentially get together with business leaders or church leaders or people in your sphere of influence, or potentially people that you aspire to be like in some way, to pick their brain a little bit, to ask them some questions about how they lead, what it is that they do, what are some tips that you can glean from that. So it's important to think about your questions themselves, because you don't want the questions to just be very rudimentary questions. You want to get to the heart of what they're talking about when it comes to leadership. And you don't want to waste anyone's time. So if you choose wisely with your interviews, most likely these are busy people who have a lot going on. And for you to sit and ask some questions about their family and, what's their favorite verse in the Bible or something, that's really not what we're looking for here, okay? We're looking for you to really get to the heart of what leadership looks like for them and how you can learn from that. The annotated bibliography is what I said in the beginning. Essentially, that is an opportunity for you to get some other outside resources. There are many of them, and I want you to curate them according to what you think is going to be most helpful for your project. So all of these aspects of this class are designed to help you work towards your final project, your final goal. So if it was me and I was looking at doing a weekend seminar on leadership in the local church or leadership for lay people, for sure I'm going to be in my bibliography looking for resources, articles, journals, books that help to talk about how you train volunteers. What are some of the things that are best habits and practices for training volunteers? What are the best ways to motivate people? All of those kind of things. So that's how I'm going to do my bibliography. I'm not going to do it in a general sense of, leadership in corporations, when that's really not what my project's about. So don't waste energy. Don't use sideways energy. Make sure that everything you do is focused on the project that you're trying to accomplish. And there it brings us to our learning project. As you can see, half your grade is tied into this. So this is a huge part of what it is you're going to be doing. And what we've done is we've given you a few options, because I know that each one of you is slightly different space in where you're at in life right now, and perhaps the things that you want to achieve. So I don't want to try to put anyone in a specific box. So you have three options. And if you can come up with a fourth option that is not one of these, but is really dynamite and is really going to help you, you can talk to me about that. I'm open. But the first is for you to put together a journal quality article. That article can be something that is of a publishable nature. So in other words, it's not just writing a paper. I would suggest that you do a bit of research as to what qualifies as a publishable paper, a peer-reviewed journal. There's many of them out there, whether it's the Baptist Theological Journal or the HTC or a number of others. But just look at what is required, because it will take you a bit of writing to put that together. But it's something you could potentially use for yourself to publish and get your name on the publishing roster. The second thing is a presentation. That presentation can be something that you do in a similar mode to what I'm doing now. Hopefully it's a presentation that you can give in real life to a specific audience. But for the purposes of grading, I need to obviously see what that is all about. So you, in a sense, be doing a teaching around about 30 to 45 minutes in length. That would you would have to record and then have that submitted to me. And then finally, a seminar. That seminar, what I'm looking for you to do there is not record necessarily that seminar in terms of video, but I'm wanting you to give a very explicit detail down to a manuscript of what the things you're going to be covering in that seminar. So like I said earlier with my example, if you're thinking of doing a training within the church for lay people, you're going to do it over 3 weekends, an hour every Saturday morning from 10 to 11. What are you going to cover in that seminar? What are the specific things you're going to be talking about? How are you going to structure it? Why are you structuring that way? So there's a lot of pieces to it, except I don't need the actual recording of what it is you do on the day. Okay. So those are the main elements there. And as I said, if you can come up with a fourth one that really is relevant to you, then shoot me a message. And then at the end, before we're all done, you will do a reflection paper. And that really is just a reflection paper. The instructions are there that is designed for you to reflect on the things that you've learned. What did you do well? What could you have done better? What did you learn that was especially helpful to you from the reading, from the project, from different aspects of the course, and then you submit that as a final assessment. As you will notice, there is no particular discussions that are happening on a weekly basis. So that's different from other classes that you may have taken. We're not doing weekly graded discussions. As you know, we have a WhatsApp group, and we can even create a WhatsApp group just for this class. If you have specific questions, ideas, reflections, things you want to ask, that we can just converse about in that manner. But there's no formal discussions that are due. So it's really on you to make sure that you are working through all the different aspects of this course in a very systematic way. As I said, the most critical thing from my perspective is that you have a very clear idea of what project you want to pursue from the outset. That's probably the most important thing at this stage for you to consider. What is that project? Because everything else that you do pretty much is going to be a derivative of that. Don't waste time, don't waste energy. Focus in on something that you want to accomplish, and then let your reading, let your analysis, let your bibliography, let your interviews all help with that. So that's all from me. I look forward to engaging with you all. I'm very appreciative of the work that you are doing, and I hope that this course will be helpful to you as we go forward. So I look forward to hearing from you guys soon. Take care. Cheers.